Hi and welcome. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all of my quilty stitchy things. This is my completed trunk show part 3 where I show all of my completed quilts 10 at a time. Now, I still have no idea how many parts are to this series because I don't know how many quilts I have. But let's get started. This is number 21. This was a Flurries quilt kit that I had bought from Fat Quarter Shop. And it was quilted on the long arm with a winter pantograph that has winter hats and mittens. We will flip it over to take a look at the back. So this is the back of the quilt. It has like that snowflake backing on the back. It's kind of hard from see back here, but it is quilted with like I said, mittens and hats for a winter theme. Now this is number 22, and this was just a panel kit that I had bought, and then I had quilted it on the long arm. Now this hangs in my sewing room as a wall hanging because this was the first quilt that I had put on the long arm and did completely by myself. So we will flip it over. So that's just what the back looks like, and it was just done with a large meander. This is number 23. This was a sew sampler project, and it's just a panel with all the different swatches of the Bellows collar solids you can buy. Now, it was quilted with a Whipsy pantograph on the long arm. I did put a hanging sleeve on the back, so we'll turn it over and you can take a look at the back. So this is what the back looks like. That white up there is the hanging sleeve I put on it. Now this is number 24. This was just a panel that I had turned into a quilt. And this hangs in my laundry room above my dryer. And it was just quilted on my domestic with an all over loopy line. We'll turn it over and you can take a look at the back. So this is the back, but you can't really tell much because of the polka dots. Okay. Now this is number 25. Now this was just a table runner kit that came in a tin, and it was quilted on my domestic with a loopy line quilt pattern, and it's a table runner that I put on my table in my sewing room when I don't have my cutting mat or pressing station set up. Now this is what I'm going to call a bonus project. The quilt that was involved with this was called Aura from the Seemingly Scrappy book by Rebecca Silwall. But I turned it into a floor pillow many years ago when my children were younger and they were on the floor all the time playing with their toys. So I turned it into a pillow for something for them to lay on. Now, since that time, as you can tell, I think I either need to restuff it with some more stuffing or take it apart and just turn it into a quilt. I'm not sure what. Now this is number 26. This pattern, this scrappy quilt, is called Beloved. And it was in the Seemingly Scrappy book by Rebecca Silwall. And it was just quilted on my domestic with a stitch in the ditch along the blocks. We'll flip it over and you can take a look at the back. So this is what the back of that quilt looks like. Like I said, it was just stitched in a ditch along the seams of the blocks. So this is number 27, and this was a quilt kit, and the pattern was Modern Windows Silent Night pattern from Northcott, and it was designed by Barb Sackle. And it was quilted with a snowflake and swirl pantograph, and I used metallic silver thread on it. Okay, I'll flip it over and you can take a look at the back. So this is what the back looks like. This is number 28. This is Over the River and Through the Woods pattern from Crab Apple Hill Studios by Meg Hawkey. Now, those 3 panels in there are all hand embroidery. And then it was quilted with a snowflake and swirl pantograph. So we'll flip it over and take a look at the back. So that is the back. Now this was a panel quilt with some borders. My husband had actually found this panel when we had went to Missouri Star and wanted it. So I got it and made it for him. And I used a pantograph on the long arm with it. Now the thread I used for this was actually some glow-in-the-dark thread that my husband came across. So it does glow in the dark, but it's very, very faint. But we'll flip it over and you can take a look at the back. So that is the back of the quilt with the pantograph that I did on the long arm. And this is number 30. Now this was just a rail fence quilt pattern, which I used Eleanor Burns' video to make it. And it was quilted with the stitch in the ditch on the domestic. We'll flip it over and take a look at the back. So that is the back. Okay, so that is the end of the trunk show for part 3. Next week, I will be coming out with part 4. Now that is all the quilts that I have in my downstairs. So next week, we'll start pulling the quilts from upstairs, which is where the majority of them are. So we'll have many more parts to go. Until next time, bye.